Today's episode of The Mom Game is brought to you by our friends at Gateway Buick GMC at LBJ and Jupiter. I know that buying a car can be stressful, but not at Gateway because their slogan is, Gateway's got it. And just what does that mean? Well, it means Gateway's got a wide selection of new Buicks, GMCs, and GM-certified used vehicles, all competitively priced. Gateway's got it. In these busy times, you want a car dealer who makes things easy and convenient. Well, guess what? Gateway's got it. When you log on to gatewaybuickgmc.com, look for the Shop, Click, Drive button. This allows you to shop from the comfort of your home, and who doesn't want that? In fact, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, select your vehicle. 2, create your offer. 3, schedule your delivery. And on top of all this, Gateway Buick GMC offers complimentary car washes for life. So when you want a dealer who has it all, Gateway's got it. You can find them online at gatewaybuickgmc.com or shop in person at LBJ and Jupiter. GMC, we are professional grade. Experience the new Buick. And welcome to episode 113 of The Mom Game. I am Emily Jones. She is Julie Dobbs. Pleased to be here. How effing tired are you, Julie Dobbs?
I'm very tired. I feel like
I'm tired.
I feel like you're tired from doing a million things.
I feel like everybody
from sports
is so sports tired, but it's a good sports tired. I'm happy to be sports tired. So many.
Did you watch last night?
Sports. I did. I did. It was very unfortunate.
It was unfortunate.
So I was keeping up with the game. So the Rangers were playing. Rangers, as we are taping on a Wednesday, the Rangers have won 6 of 8.
Okay. We just can't even wait to get to sports scores today.
Still, right. Okay.
We're squirting all over the place.
Squirting all over the place. Mm-hmm. That's...
Hello. I'm back.
Somebody woke up. And it's Julie talking about squirting all over the place. Yes. And we're off. Hey, what's up, people? We are.
Just give me a little something to work with. And I'm bound to make it weird quickly.
What happened?
Okay, so we'll get to Mavs and we'll get to Rangers.
Squirting all over the place.
Yes, sports squirting.
Right, okay. All right. Yes, we'll get to that. But yes, I'm tired. There's lots of sports. We'll get to sports squirting all over the place later. Mm-hmm. But it's tiring. There's a lot of sports to watch.
A lot to watch.
They start really late. Mm-hmm. So it's tiring. How was your Mother's Day?
Wow. I feel like it's been ages since then, but It was only a few days.
Yeah.
Mother's Day was very nice. Kelly was home and had the day off. It was like the stars aligned somehow because, of course, he's been traveling back and forth to Calgary now, which isn't like an easy trip.
No.
So it's a whole day anytime they have to go there or back.
Are they having to test?
Day.
I
don't think so.
Okay, because when we go to Toronto, we have to test before we leave. And now teams are leaving out of Buffalo so they don't have to test.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
They're weaseling their way in.
I'm not exactly sure where Calgary is. It's on the west coast.
What city did you just say? You're going to
Toronto?
where? Toronto. It is west of that. It's like more central Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, Alberta.
Alberta, Calgary? Alberta, Calgary, Alberta?
Alberta. Do you know what so like Canada doesn't have states.
Districts or provinces.
There you go.
Okay.
And a province.
King and a queen or a bishop prime minister.
They have.
Teach me about Canada, Julie.
I don't know that much, but I at least know that they are provinces. And so Calgary is in Alberta.
Okay.
Which is north of like Minnesota.
Sure.
Ish.
Yeah.
And that's where the stars are traveling to. So it's like a good 3.5, 4 hour flight each time.
Okay.
But yeah, they have a prime minister.
Okay.
Justin Trudeau.
Okay.
Is his name. But then
is he the crazy one that used to get drunk and stuff?
Yeah.
He's still doing it?
Yeah.
He's still leading the country?
I don't think he's getting drunk and stuff anymore.
He's not?
Well, maybe, but behind closed doors.
Wasn't he kind of like Chris Farley-ish? Am I thinking of the right guy?
No, yeah, I think you are. Like he's got a past that was like kind of like party guy past.
Like some wheels off stuff.
Yeah. I actually was at
Canada is so effing cool.
Canada is
like that's
cool.
your guy running shit. He's like, woo, here I am. And I'm not meaning, listen.
I mean,
for the
W.
record- okay.
W.
What
He
about-
was a party guy president.
But he gave up partying so long before.
Well, yeah.
He's been sober for I tried to talk to him about wine the
Sober,
other day when I
sober?
saw him.
I
Oh,
don't-
he's
don't
sober.
need to- okay.
Yeah. And he was like,
Does
oh,
everyone do
I
that
don't
at some
drink
point?
that. He doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Are we going to have to do that someday?
To sober up?
Yeah.
No, come on.
Only if we become president or prime minister.
No, I think that's when you do it more. That's when you start, when the sun comes up.
Everyone
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
A lot of people are getting
here we
sober.
are, right on task, sticking with the topic. How was Mother's Day? So this is my fault. It's kind of your fault.
I still was trying to answer about kings and queens, but if you want to move on from that.
Right.
Yeah, Canada's cool and all of that. Mother's Day was nice because Kelly was home, and that was how this all started. He was home, and he brought breakfast back, brought coffee back to me. I got to kind of lay there for a while.
Nice.
And then I really wanted to go to church. I'm trying to go more.
Love that.
I know.
Love that.
I have a wonderful church, and it's where my kids go to school. It's where I was baptized. It's like it all is just right there for me. But my ass has been pretty lazy lately.
The official spiritual advisor of the mom game, Lance Marshall, would be very proud of you.
He would be proud. Yeah. So that was at 10. That's the only thing about church. It's kind of like
10.
Gets in the middle of your morning,
right? And you got to get dressed and get cute.
Get dressed and get cute. Not just get dressed like I do for school drop off, but cute.
Yeah.
So anyway, we did that.
And
my mom was
you
in
looked
town.
adorable.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, y'all look so cute.
My mom was in town until 2:00 that day. So we got to go to church, and we just brought Anna. The boys couldn't really get it together quickly enough, and they hadn't seen each other in a while. So Ryder and Kelly just stayed home. So that was nice. And then I went to a hot Pilates class. I put it on the calendar a few days before. I was like, this is something I want to do. I want to go by myself to this workout class and just do something good for me. And we'll have to talk about workout classes later. And
was there any farts?
What an adventure there.
Every time I've gone to a hot Pilates class, people are blowing ass.
Shut up!
I swear to God. And it's almost like it's you're like I'm looking around like.
Do you think they know, or are they just so relaxed?
I think it's part of the thing. You're at one with your hotness and blow it out your ass. I don't know. I mean, it's that. I mean, it can smell in those places. Just naturally, the people are hot as.
Well,
I'll get out
2 classes ago, I thought I might have smelled a fart.
Yeah. Oh,
but
people are letting
hear
loose.
it.
Trust me.
Well, this particular one, they're blaring music, so I bet it could be
you could get away
hidden.
with it.
Yeah, there might be a lot of blowing ass, as you like to say.
Okay.
But I'm trying really hard not to do that.
I understand. Trust me, we've been over this. You're not a big farter.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Not in public.
Right. Okay. Glad you clarified.
Like you.
I don't fart in public regularly. Sometimes things happen.
Okay. We're going to try to stay on course here. So anyway, I went to that class. Sometimes things happen.
Sometimes things happen.
They do. We'll have to ask our guest about.
Oh yeah, we got 2 guests today.
We have a lot going on, so we really should try to steer the ship a little better.
There we go.
It was a wonderful Mother's Day. It was great. Kelly cooked steaks, and it was good. We were all together.
Good. That makes me
I made
happy.
him go buy me a float so I could float in the pool. I kind of was like, I'm just gonna boss you around today because I can.
Yeah.
I really wanted to float in the pool, and our floats had all died in the off season.
Right.
And so we didn't have a float. And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that sucks." I was like,
"Oh, but you know how you could fix this?
You can go to Target,
take your ass to the store, and go buy me a damn float."
So he did.
Happy Mother's Day.
He did. All I wanted was to float in the pool, and I did. I drifted off
good for
you.
a
good hour. How about you?
It was good. So we had originally made a reservation for myself, my immediate family, my mother-in-law and her husband, my sister-in-law, and my mother to go to a brunch at 1:00. Well, I forgot that Henry had a baseball tournament.
Oh, right. Yeah,
remember
you talked about that.
The Mother's Day Classic. So we canceled that, and I ordered a ton of food and Mike went to go pick it up. And so basically everyone just came over like at 11 o'clock once we got the schedule, because that's the whole thing. You're held captive by these tournament schedules. So once we figured out he wasn't going to play until like 3 o'clock at the earliest, I was like, okay, everybody hot route, like come over to our house. Let's just visit. And so I, just like, we ran to Starbucks, which is my thing, we did it as a family, and my family knows that that's my thing. If we can all start out the morning with a little walk to Starbucks, whatever. And then came home and had lunch at our house, and then went and watched baseball.
Nice.
So it was actually, as much as I was like, poo-pooing the idea of the Mother's Day Classic, the fact that I was off on Mother's Day and I did have a chance to like just sit and watch baseball and not have to worry about, going to work afterward or blah, blah, blah. Like it just was, it was cool. Yeah. I mean, instead of maybe some of the moms might have brought a little cocktail mixer so we can have a little something.
Spice it up.
Yeah. So yeah, it was good, but it was great. And then came home, and my kids were sweet to me. My husband was sweet to me. But it was good.
They pampered you a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. They were great. I mean, they basically just did what kind of, like you said, whatever you want.
Buy me a float.
Buy me a float. I didn't get a float. I don't have anywhere to float just yet.
Girlfriend.
Yet.
You just wait.
It's coming. Okay.
So fun.
Are we ready to score all over the place?
Well, yeah, we already scored it. We'll try to pick up what we already scored it and put it back together and do it all over again. Sports Squirts, a lot to talk about. Brought to you today by Baird. Emily,
yes.
Do you think much about your retirement and money and what you're going to do once you're done working?
I think about a lot of things. And that I will say that does creep into my mind every once in a while about, like I said, Mike and our family is mainly in charge of that. My thing is like, I need to know more. I need to be more informed, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like us as women probably in general, being stereotypical here, don't take the initiative on that enough. Sometimes it's easier just to let the husband do it, the partner do it, whatever. But our friends at Baird are trying to help us women be a little more armed with the tools we need to ask the right questions, to do the right things, to make sure that we are prepared. Because let's be real, Julie, we are more expensive than men, and we live longer than men.
We live longer.
We do.
If you want to take part, if we haven't convinced you yet, please give them a try, because this is really important. And we have also said they can help you with whatever it is, whether it's investing, help, other financial services that you need at this point in your life to help take care of you and your family. If you want to reach out to them, it is women at Baird, BAIRD.com. If you go there, you can find the Women's Retirement Guide. It is all available for you. That's super simple. Women at Baird.com, so you can start planning for your retirement today.
Get after it.
So
where do we start?
Should we start? Let's start with Rangers.
Okay. Rangers won 6 of 8 as we after game 1 of a 3-game series against the Royals, game 1 of a 9-game homestand. They're playing way better baseball. They had a small meltdown in the top of the 7th on Tuesday night in the opener against the Royals, but rebounded and were able to win. They're better than what their record indicates. And I will say they're fighting. They're playing hard. They're not giving up. This has a completely different feel than it did last season.
Good.
And that's great. And so there's still some things that need to be figured out. I mean, Marcus Semien, I know he is a stud. I know he's going to come out of this, but it's just, and I'm not at the, we're not besties by any stretch. And so I'm not comfortable enough to have those conversations yet about
when you're going to start hitting.
Right. I mean, like, hey, so, Corey Seager's starting to really do some things. Mitch Garver is on the IL, which means Jonah Heim is getting some increased exposure, and he is responding extremely well. But they're a fun team to watch, and they're pitching. I feel like it's really hard when you have a team that has no pitching or the pitching is super weak, because it can take you out of a game like that. It's like a goalie in hockey. It's like, and there's no, basketball's not like that, right? But hockey is like that.
Yeah, if your goalie's having an off night, it doesn't matter what
Same way,
you
like
do as
I guess
forwards,
quarterback to a certain extent in football, but and that's why too. Like even like to talk about youth sports right fast. Like as a mom, when Henry's pitching, it's so nerve wracking.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like when riders a goalie, like because you just feel like you actually,
is that his thing?
Yeah. He's probably a better pitcher than he is a hitter.
Okay.
And so there's just all this because it's all on them, right?
Yeah.
They're controlling the ball. I mean, errors can be made, plays can be unmade, plays unmade in the field, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, there's so much focus on that.
Yeah. And
this team is pitching really, really well.
Okay, that's good. Because that was what was going to maybe hold them up from doing something.
Exactly. So you have to think like Marcus Semien is going to start hitting, right? Cole Calhoun is good. You're talking about career hitters. You're talking about guys who have a track record. And the only thing that would deter me from that is like if you're on the downhill side of your career. Corey Seager is not. Marcus Semien is not. Cole Calhoun is probably of those three the most on the, the other side of like the peak of his career.
Yeah.
But he's also he's a grinder. And I love his emotion. I love his attitude. And they need that in that room because Corey Seager and Marcus Semien are great leaders by example, but they're relatively quiet from what I've seen. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I feel like they're pretty
maybe they're
quiet.
just waiting.
Right. And I feel like with a guy like Marcus, he might have that in him to be like a really vocal leader. It's hard to be that when you're hitting 185. You know what I mean? It's just,
yep.
So I'm super encouraged. I hope it continues to trend upward. I would love nothing more that if we could just get to 500.
Yeah.
And then to where you feel like, and maybe that's just a fan. I'm sure the players don't think about this, but like as a fan, you feel like, okay, if we can get back to 500, then we can kind of not start over, but maybe reset. Like, okay, now we're back to even. Let's do some good shit and see where we end up.
Like, what did we learn out of that bad start and try to do better?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to lose the fan base that early on, too.
No, I know. So if we can start putting some things together, have a really solid homestand, I feel good about it.
Yeah. I need to come out there.
Yeah, you should.
Once the hockey season ends.
I know.
I'll go out there.
Okay. Well, let's go hockey.
Let's go hockey.
Yeah. So we're 2-2.
Yeah, we're 2-2 in the first round series with the Calgary Flames in the playoffs, a series that...
But by the time this airs... It's either going to be
3-2, one way or the other.
One way or the other.
But yeah, I have to remind myself like that the Stars no one picked the Stars in this series. Like literally no one.
No.
Even the Dallas Riders and everybody was saying this Calgary's a shoo-in.
Yeah.
And to have it at 2-2 right now, to have that big win that they had at home, a couple of, what was that, Saturday night, and I brought the kids, and gosh, it was just, that place just goes crazy in the playoffs.
It looks amazing.
So fun. I was primed and ready for another one on Monday, but it was not a good game. And I had a feeling, I brought a couple girlfriends to that game. So
saw that.
And I told them, I was like, I have a feeling this isn't going to be a good game. This team is just so back and forth. And it just kind of seemed like too, with Calgary coming back from Dallas, they were going to be playing very desperate hockey to try and even the series up at the AAC. And they'll play again tonight. Like we said, this will air Thursday, so we don't know what's going to happen in the game tonight. But after that game 4, I'm quite worried because Calgary was really inserting themselves like physically into the matchup even more. And
dude, like 50 some odd shots on goal.
Yeah. I mean, they just dominated it. Like, it was one of the Stars' worst defensive games of the season. It's like, what? No, not now. Not now. Like, stand up to these mofos,
right?
You know, and they're trying.
Can I ask something really dumb? I mean, we've established I don't know shit about hockey. But I feel like they get a lot of guys in the box and it's not fair on the ice. Like, what is...
Well, that's a good observation because...
Are they doing, like, egregious things to get in the penalty box?
No.
Like, because I'm like... Guys, like, let's not. You
would think you could just like, just like keep your shit in gear and not go to the box. Yeah. The last game, which was game 4, that was a very terribly called game by the refs, and everyone kind of agreed. Like, not just Stars fan, it was really bad.
Yeah.
And what really like turned the tide was them calling a penalty shot. I think it was against John Klingberg. And so it wasn't just like a power play. It was like, oh no, you get everybody cleared out of the way and you get to go one-on-one with the goaltender.
When does that happen?
It rarely happens. Like all season long, it rarely happens. And it was.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's a thing. I
mean, don't know shit about hockey. Apologies to everyone. I love it. I love watching it. I just don't know jack about it.
You don't need to apologize because I feel like people listening don't either, and that's why it's good to have these conversations. I don't think we have too many like hockey experts, right? And I'm not even by any means. There's a lot I can still learn about hockey, but I do know that the penalty shots are, we've maybe had 2 all season long.
Yeah.
Been given to the other team that we're playing. So for that to happen in the playoffs at that point in the game, because yes, we were being terribly outshot, but Jake Ottinger was playing lights out. Our young goaltender who's just, he's just been so good. He had some like highlight reel saves to keep the team in it when they were allowing this onslaught from the Flames. And so that penalty shot, I feel like really turned the tide because they capitalized on it. Yeah. And so then Jake Ottinger, after like pitching a freaking shutout until that point, I think there was only 1 goal at that point. So not a shutout. This whole
penalty shot thing is bullshit. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me.
They're saying that, like, I don't remember what the actual penalty was, but basically if you get in the way of a guy having a clear shot and you like, he doesn't even get to like take the shot or have a full opportunity to do so because of a penalty, then you get an opportunity to just go one-on-one with the goaltender.
That sucks.
Which is crazy. So anyway, so that just really turned the tide, and then they scored again, and then they scored an empty netter. So it ended up being like a very deflating 4-1, I think, loss for the Stars. But this team, they surprised us once in Calgary and won in Calgary. It's a really tough place to play. They have to win to merge into Mavs a little bit, because now the Mavs and the Stars are both best of 3.
Yeah.
And they don't have home court or home ice. And that sucks. Like that, I feel like I'm used to this. I don't know, when you don't have home court or home ice in the playoffs and you're playing in these like very, very, very tight games, and maybe not even necessarily tight games, but they're tight series where it can go one way or the other. And you think you figured out a team, and then all of a sudden they come on and destroy you, whether it's Phoenix or Calgary, and you don't have that home court advantage. That's why I'm skeptical. Like, honestly, I'm skeptical that either one of these teams is going to move forward. But best case scenario, now we can like force game 7s.
Yeah.
And then try to win.
Yeah. And I think it's like, people talk about all the time, like it's the 7-game series is so incredible in some ways, but the pendulum swings and the emotions, when it's like, after game 4, we felt this. And after game 3, it's just the emotions and the reactions are so extreme that you can only hope, and you have to think that as professional athletes who are trained and built to do this stuff, that they're like, we're not all up in that shit. Like we're not worried. We're not thinking about the 85% of game 5 winners in a series that's tied 2-2 goes on to win the series. Right. Whatever. They're not thinking about that.
And the best thing about these games is that they end.
Oh my God, the Mavs game.
And then you have a break.
Right. So the Mavs game, I was like keeping up with the Mavs game as I was watching the Rangers, and I actually got a speeding ticket, a warning on the way home, because I was trying to catch
Did you explain yourself?
So he was really not interested in too much small talk.
Okay.
But I was like, I'm so sorry. I was trying to get home for the 4th quarter of the Mavs game. And he was like, okay. And I was like, okay. So
do you know who I am?
I did not. You know who I am.
Have you ever watched baseball?
I did not. I turned on the Rangers post-game show really loud, hoping my commercial might come on. I'm just kidding. No, I didn't. But he was gracious enough to give me only a warning, which nice. I was very, very excited about. And I was hurrying home to see my niece who's in town. She's on her way home from her freshman year of college at Texas Tech, Reckham. And so I just was ready to get home. So then he gives me a warning. Total side story here. Gives me the warning. And then I'm like, again, trying to hustle home within the parameters of the law. And the light turns yellow. And I like didn't know what to do, because I didn't want to like slam on my brakes, but then I didn't want to run a red light.
Yeah.
And so I like just kind of
moseyed.
Slammed. No, I didn't go through it because I was scared. I was like, I'll be the first person on the planet to get a warning and then 5 seconds later get a ticket for something else.
Yeah, it is awkward when you're driving away after that meeting. You're like, I'm trying to do my best.
What was so funny was I was waiting for him. So I pulled off the highway and I was on the shoulder of the access road. And I was ready. I've heard, don't make sudden movements. Don't do this, like whatever. So I just got my ID out. I didn't reach for my insurance because I didn't want to, I don't know. You just hear all about stuff. Like, I don't want him to think whatever.
Yeah.
So I roll down my window and I'm like looking for him over here at the driver's side. And I'm seeing like all these lights, like his flashlight or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
He's on the passenger side, of course, because it's fucking safe over there.
Yeah.
So he's like, hello. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And then you start thinking like, I'm like,
he was on your passenger side?
So he's on because it's safer.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm like, is he gonna think I've been drinking? Like, is he? You think all these things like stone cold sober, coming home from work, like whatever. But you're just, I don't know.
It's like your heart stops.
It's so weird.
It's scary.
Yeah,
it's scary.
It's
there's no
other
point in life where like there's a cop just in your face. Like,
I know. And he was very nice, but like I said, there was no small talk. There was no nothing. But I did get off with a warning.
Okay.
And I did make it home in time to see the fourth quarter of the Mavs game and visit with my sweet niece. And it was so ugly. Not the visit with my sweet niece, but the game. So I just feel like you have to like flush that one.
Yeah.
And then let's see what happens.
And the scary thing is that it seems to happen every time they try to play in Phoenix, which they have to do again.
But it does go to show you how important home court for the majority of things.
It really is that. And they just need to go back to trying to get the ball. Like Luke has got to get the ball out.
He looked super defeated.
Yeah.
Well, and I would be too if you like. They went on a 17-0 run.
I know, because they had a lead, like 3-point lead at half, and then it was like the worst quarter ever in the history of basketball. And that's when I fell asleep. I was kind of glad, not glad.
Yeah, but
I was like, I can go to sleep because this sucks.
This sucks, yeah.
And if I would have woken up to them coming all the way back, that would have been
amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. But we'll have to talk more about Luka maybe next week because he's just. There's a lot going on with Luka.
There is a lot going on.
And a lot of hate in this series right now. It's making me a little nervy.
It is. Okay. We've got a special guest coming up for TMG News Desk. But first we've got, it is a good special guest. We've got 2 guests today, which is kind of amazing. Okay. But first let's do what's on your feed. Because I feel like I made it funny.
You did? You're proud of that one?
I am.
What's on your feed brought to you by our friends at Globe Life. They're a very familiar name at this point. Hopefully, if you watch the Rangers, if you listen to the Mom Game, if you listen to the Ticket, you know Globe Life. And what they want you to know is a little bit more about the job market and how you can be a part of what they're doing over at Globe Life, because the job market is a different landscape than it used to be, as we all know. Whether you're attempting to balance your work and home life or find a career that aligns with your goals and needs, it's a lot to juggle. That's what we talk about here on the Mom Game. It's a lot to try and work and exercise and take care of your kids and pack their lunches and get everybody to bed and then have some time to unwind, blah, 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 blah. It's a lot. So if you can find a job that kind of fits into your crazy life, even better, and even better if it's one that can pay pretty well. If you're looking for a career path that offers a flexible schedule, the ability to make a difference, and the independence to build your own business, look at Globe Life. Anyone watching the Rangers has seen Globe Life, but you might not know really what they are or what kind of opportunities are there with them, and especially how many successful women thrive in their careers with Globe Life. If you've never considered the insurance industry, you should know a growing number of women are finding true success in it. They've been around for a long time. They pride themselves on commitment to make tomorrow better. They have different business models. You can do virtual, you can do in person, whatever suits you and your life best to find success wherever you are. You will be paid what you're worth, which is huge. Keep a flexible schedule, find meaning in your career while being engaged in what matters most at home. Reach out to Globe Life. You want to reach out to them, surely, if you've heard all of that. If you want to do it, it's globelifeagents.com. globelifeagents.com. It could change your trajectory in a way you never thought possible. And tell them that you heard about it on the Mom Game.
Please
Why
do.
not?
Please do.
Why not? So Emily made a funny. She wants to talk about
Well, okay. So it's pregame warmups at the Ranger game. And I hear, well, first of all, a mariachi band doing a cover of Living on a Prayer? Yes, Living on a Prayer. That's Bon Jovi, right? Living on a Prayer.
Yeah.
Whoa, we're halfway there.
Yeah.
Whoa, Oh, living on a prayer. Take my hand and we'll make it, I swear. Oh, living on a prayer. Okay, so you know the part where it says like, it doesn't make a difference if we make it or not?
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, I thought it said it doesn't make a difference if we're naked or not.
Oh, you think they were talking about
We've got each.
duets?
Well, I mean the duets. We've got each other, and that's a lot for. So they're talking about love, and so I was like, maybe they're talking about nakedness. So I tweeted, growing up, did anyone else think the lyrics to "Living on a Prayer" said doesn't make a difference if we're naked or not, or was that just me? And the responses that I got from other people that were saying like lyrics that they thought were correct, but they weren't.
Oh, they were telling you.
And it made me laugh so hard. So there was some really, I just thought it was, I don't like, listen, Twitter can be the devil sometimes.
But it's really funny sometimes.
But this made me chuckle so much. And I was like, this is why I'm on Twitter. It's because this is a random thought that was going, no one, and I mean, and only people who were at the stadium at that point in time knew what the fuck I was. So why am I bringing up Living on a Prayer? Whatever. It was just this thing that popped into I mean, I'm totally random, which is kind of who I am in general.
Yep.
But I thought it was so funny to hear people's lyrics.
Did someone
okay, so remember that song? We don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time. I thought it was said, we don't have to take a long walk to have a good time.
Which makes no sense.
Right.
Yeah.
No, none of it makes sense.
This is one that I
really
like.
Funny.
Did anyone say sweet dreams are made of cheese? Sweet dreams are made of cheese. Yeah. Who would argue that? I've dreamt about cheese.
I was like, anybody else? They're like, I didn't think so, but sounds like you had a fun childhood. Like, some of them were so funny. Now I can't find them. And then it also pissed people off.
I looked at the top 40 misheard, and that's one of them. It doesn't make a difference if we're naked or not.
Okay, it's not just me. It's not just me. Okay, so then this guy, David Sanderson, who I know from Lubbock, he said that's better than a guy I knew who thought Garth was singing "I'm Shaven" instead of "Shameless."
I'm shaven. Yes. That'd be a good razor
when it
commercial.
Comes to loving you.
Yes,
that was a little bit of a little pitchy. Little pitchy on that one.
Sex is on Fire from Kings of Leon. This says, "Oh, dyslexics on fire."
Whoa, let's not.
I'm just reading.
Okay, that's totes and approves.
But
then now, what I think I like is that now people are going to have that in their head.
Yeah,
like anyone who saw this tweet, when they hear that song again, they're going to think it doesn't make a difference if we're naked or not.
Any other good ones? Yeah.
Okay, let's see. As a kid, I never understood why Toby Keith sang about wearing my sex shoes and should have been a cowboy.
Oh, wearing my sex shoe, riding my pony on cattle
wearing
drive.
Here's another one I thought
Stealing?
of.
Is that not what it is?
Yeah,
it's not a sex shoe?
Wearing my sex shoes?
Wearing
my six-shooter.
Oh.
Riding my pony on a cattle drive. But what's that Old Town Road? I'm going to take my horse to the hotel room. I swear to God.
The hotel room.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, I tweeted that like 3 years ago or something. And somebody posted a picture of a horse silhouette in a hotel room. And I was like, this just made my life. Like whoever made this, I got to find that too. That's
probably a P1 because people are always turning things into, oh my gosh.
They made a horse go to the hotel room. It was so funny.
Well, if a horse needs to travel, where do they sleep? You tell me.
Okay. This is true. Okay. A few years ago, my mother told me that her whole life, she thought the lyrics to Tulsa Time were living on toast and wine. And I responded, I like your mom.
I like your mom. As long as it's gluten-free, I think I could do that.
Gluten-free toast.
Gluten-free toast.
Do they make? Oh, what about if you like pina coladas? If you like bean enchiladas? I feel like we're very Weird Al Yankovic right now.
Yeah, bean enchiladas.
If you like
beans.
Oh my God.
You do?
I told you about when I was pregnant. Oh.
No.
Remember, I know I've told you this.
A bean story about
I think
when you were
we
pregnant?
talked about it with Ian Kinsler.
Oh.
So when I was pregnant, I would crave bean and cheese enchiladas. Bean and cheese burritos from Taco Bell.
It probably sat well in that pregnant belly.
So it would be like, I would go on my way to the ballpark and I'd be like, can I get 2 bean and cheese burritos with beans and cheese only? No onions, no red sauce, 5 mild sauces every time. And then I would proceed to
that
eat
makes
it.
my stomach hurt.
Eat it in the car on the way to work. Well, it's hard to eat in a car, bean burritos, and then you have this giant belly. So I would spill shit.
Oh,
and I'd walk into the clubhouse and Ian would be like, oh, Taco Bell for lunch again today, Jones. And I'd be like, fuck off. I'm pregnant. And I like bean burritos. Leave me alone.
Okay, do you remember the story?
Yes.
But I didn't know the backstory to the story.
It was I would still get excited when I think about, if you put 2 bean and cheese burritos in front of me right now from Taco Bell, I would crush the shit out of those things. 5 mild sauces, because it takes 2.5 packs per burrito. It's
Taco Bell is.
I know people
it
are
made
very
me sick one time, a long time ago. I mean, I was in high school.
I know.
And so I still can't have it.
Schlotzsky's. I had Schlotzsky's after I got my wisdom teeth pulled.
Yeah.
And I had dry sockets, but I was so fucking hungry. Yeah. Did you get your wisdom teeth pulled?
Yeah.
And when you come out of the anesthesia, they're like, you can't eat. I'm like, fuck that.
I'm
I'm so hungry. And I ate Schlotzsky's and puked my guts out.
Why did you eat Schlotzsky's after that?
I was so hungry.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounded so good.
Schlotzsky.
Can you imagine me with like those
like
dry
you picked the
sockets?
hardest name to say or the hardest food to crave.
Shit's all swollen.
If you're listening and can do a little photo of Emily like this saying
No,
then please do it.
Like my cheeks are already chipmunky enough for sure. Okay, so that was my what's on your feed. I thought I made it funny. I like stuff like that. Like stuff that makes me laugh. Like people are smart asses every once in a while.
If you have a random chuckle to yourself.
Yeah. I'm like,
weird.
This was fun. And I liked everyone sharing their misguided story, lyrics. I liked it. I love it. So I was like,
just silly
I
humor.
felt like I won Twitter yesterday. Not like against anyone, but just like
totally won.
Yeah, I feel like I
was
won.
so proud to know you.
Let's stop the brakes. Okay.
After that tweet.
So we have TMG News Desk, but we have a special guest joining us for TMG News Desk. And we have another special guest after that.
And they all have to do with sports.
Right. This one's a little less serious. The first one's a little less serious. The second one is awesome.
Stay tuned for the second one too.
But also very important. We're excited about. But this special guest for TMG News Desk is brought to you by Baylor Scott & White, All Saints Medical Center, in Fort Worth. And they've got you covered this year when it comes to protecting your skin. Summer is coming if it's not already here, and it's starting to get hot. It's already hot. Make sure you understand your risk of skin cancer before summer starts officially. Over 1 million people are diagnosed with cancer every year, and you can be one less to struggle with skin cancer when you get a screening. Our teams will be at the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, helping golf fans understand their skin cancer risk factors and registering fans to receive a free skin cancer screening. So sign up and you could be chosen to receive a prize package with signed swag from your favorite PGA Tour professionals. You can find out more by visiting www.bswhealth.com/Colonial Golf and make sure every putt is protected. So thanks to Baylor Scott & White for what they are doing with the mom game and what they're doing to help people get screened for skin cancer.
Very important.
Raise awareness for skin cancer, especially this time of year because the sun is ablazing.
This is going to be maybe our best edition of the news desk in the mom game ever, because we are now joined by former Dallas Cowboy Nate Newton, my old pal from a million years ago. Emily knows him from a million years ago. And now we're all sitting here on set.
I know.
Nate, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
It's been a minute.
Yeah,
it's been a minute. So we go back to Fox Sports Southwest days.
Yes.
Doing a Cowboys postgame show.
Yes.
This had to be like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know how long.
Because Trey was still in.
It was probably the same
at
era.
South Lake.
Trey was still at South Lake.
And then he was only as a senior going into. Yeah, it's been some years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
But you've been keeping up with me watching all the Rangers baseball all the time.
When did me and you do our thing?
It was 2007.
So this was been,
And I feel like around that time you were doing the Cowboys postgame show.
Yeah.
It was usually John, but then Emily would do
big hair,
Renner, Rick Renner.
Big hair,
big hair,
Yeah,
and they're all still there.
Yeah.
And so Nate has been doing broadcasting for a while, and you're still with the Cowboys. What all are you doing these days? Fill everybody in.
I do a podcast, and we do one every Monday. you know, hanging with the boys.
During Cowboy season?
No, during the off season.
Oh, okay.
But during the season, it's 5 days a week.
Okay.
Then I do pre and post on the computer. What
Okay.
is that? The
Like DallasCowboys.com?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I do that. I've been fortunate. I've never worked.
You
I had a part-time job in college. I've never worked in my life.
You
Really?
worked your ass off. I don't buy
But
that.
you mean outside of football?
Right.
No, ma'am.
Right.
Football has never been a job for me.
Right.
I love it.
Even because I never got in shape on time. I always came in camp fat. So I use all camp to get in shape. So during the off season, I was just running around fat and out of shape. So I've never had a job in my life.
But part of
look
your
at
job was being big. I mean, it was
Yeah.
okay.
But now you're all not fat. Like, how did this, and it's been that way for a while. How did this happen?
Well, it started, I did something with Dr. Kim.
Okay.
I got that lap band.
Oh, how
so
was
when
that?
That was good. That was good because when I first got it, I dropped down to like 280 pounds.
Okay, what was your biggest?
The biggest I ever been, I think, is 411 pounds.
wow.
Maybe 415.
That's a big difference.
It is a big difference.
That's half your weight. What are you laughing
A
at?
couple people.
Stop laughing.
Because a lot of people, I can't use this where I know we not, censor, but I'm not going to cuss like that.
What?
Dion and all my friends like, man, you weigh 411 pounds, and I bet 75 pounds of you was full of.
Shit.
That's messed up. That's messed up. I'm not saying that, but they used to be like, wow, man, can you imagine, man, when Dr. Kim went in there surgery?
And it was all just a bunch of shit.
Oh, yeah. And so I'm like,
I've been told I was full of shit before, but not like that.
Yeah. So, and wow. And I thank Dr. Kim because two things happened for me. I lost weight. I lost a lot of weight, but I stopped drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
'Cause you
Like
probably-
completely?
Yes. I haven't had a drink since I had that surgery. I can't think when the surgery was, but the surgery been over 7-8 years ago.
Good for you.
Yeah. So a lot of people say, well, you going? Yeah, no, I don't want to drink. My relatives or friends come over, they drinking their beers and having fun. When they leave, I say, you can't leave that in my refrigerator. Nah, we'll be back. I said, yeah, it'll be.
Yeah, just keep it away.
So you know your limits, what you can and can't do. Good for you.
Yeah, and so these last 2 or 3 years, weight, I went back up to maybe about 325.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, by me not drinking, and then I wasn't as hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
haven't been, and so the weight started falling. And so like now, the last I weighed, I went and got once again, I went and got a colonoscopy.
A colonoscopy? Colonoscopy.
Whatever it was. I went and got that about a week ago, and they said, hey, man, you weigh 302. And once again, you had to drink all this stuff so you can get all of that.
Talk about full of shit. Like,
Stop. And so when I got that done, I weighed 302.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, and I had to weigh my tennis shoes on. So I'm like, wow. I'm right around 300, probably about 299. So I'm happy.
Good.
what's your is that your what's your
My
playing weight?
weight was 320.
320.
And for 16 years I got fined because I was always around 335 or 340.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's amazing to me all that money I lost, and now I don't play a lick of football.
Yeah.
And here I am up 20 pounds up under the playing weight.
Right.
Who
Well,
gets
maybe
that
you
money?
should cut-
Jerry? Are you just paying
You give
Jerry?
you give it back, but they give it to your charity of your choice.
Okay, well
Okay.
that's better than just like
Yeah.
Jerry Jones capitalizing on people being overweight.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? It's a contract you sign too.
That's
You
true.
can be the best you can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't look at it as Mr. Jones getting the money back. Even though I could have been using that to drink my beers anyway.
Yeah.
Well, and your relationship with Jerry is obviously still very strong.
Man, yes. Yes.
And you hear that from so many dudes who
Yeah.
played for him.
Yeah. Even though we get mad at Mr. Jones for some of the players that he picked, some of the players that he allowed to be picked by his team, but me personally, come on, man, never. Mr. Jones is, every time I see him, I can't hug him like I used to. He's way more fragile.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to always see him, once, twice a year and think, thank you, man. Thank you for staying apart, helping me be a better person, never giving up on me, never turning your back. Yeah. So Mr. Jones mean a lot to me, a lot of different ways.
How long did you play for the Cowboys?
I came in 86 and I left, and I think in 96, 97, somewhere along in that. Yeah.
When you talk about your being blessed and this career and never working, are you able to put into perspective, like, and not appreciate, I don't want to say that, but be proud of yourself for what you did accomplish and what you continue to accomplish, especially considering all the ups and downs in between.
See, I've always done things my way. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm serious. I've always done things my way. And God allowed me to do things. It wasn't always great. A lot of it was terrible, but a lot of it was good. And I look back over the years, and now I'm still alive. Mm-hmm. And so it humbles me. It humbles me that, Nate, you're 60 years old.
You're 60?
Yeah. You've done
Look good, boy.
You've done all of these things, good, bad, or indifferent, and you're still alive.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you have a family that loves you. You have,
and shouldn't, and I'm telling you, it shouldn't. But I keep praying. I keep believing. Now, if I'd have kept down my other road, I probably wouldn't even still been alive. All the things I used to do, all the way I used to act, how I used to treat people.
So where did that come from, and where did the change come from? Because I think when people hear Nate Newton, they think kick-ass offensive lineman, like first and foremost, and then they're like, oh, and there was a lot of weed in the trunk of a car,
right? Right.
How did you go from that to that? And where was this thought process? Because I didn't know you before then. I can't imagine this Nate Newton, like you said.
I can tell you each phase of my life. My family, Christians. All my family, my grandmother, my mother, my father, Christians. Raised right. I didn't come from broken homes and all, I didn't have that story. Mm-hmm. But what changed me was my favorite uncle, my Uncle Charles. When I think I was in maybe 9th, 10th grade, he passed away. And the last thing he told me was, because they didn't want us to go to the hospital because he was dying. And I'm like, I need to see Uncle Charles. I'm telling my dad it is. So I went and said, Uncle Charles, oh man, I saw him down. He said, son, Buddy is what they used to call him, Buddy. Live your life to the fullest. Live, and instead of me understanding what he was truly saying, was take advantage of life.
Right.
Do it the right way. I'm like, whatever you do, just do it to the fullest.
Balls to the wall.
Ooh. Why did he tell me that? I turned into
That's maybe not what he meant.
Yeah, from maybe the 10th, 11th grade, I turned into a raging terror.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean.
Because you're like, F it. I'm going to go. I'm going to do this big.
Yes.
Go hard.
Oh, yes. My theme song for a lot of years was Van Halen, Running with the Devil.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I was living. Oh, man, come on. Yeah.
Well, and then when you are a really good athlete and you make it into the NFL, that makes it even harder.
I'm sure money makes you just do what you want to do.
Oh, crazy!
That's all
shit.
It does.
It
don't change you. It don't make you no better person. But and for me, wow. And then like you say, the incidents with the drugs and stuff like that. And then when I came out, and then all of a sudden, I needed a job. Mm-hmm. Like I say. And I needed a job. You hear me? J-O-B, I needed a job. Folks say, you got to work.
Yeah.
I went to David Wells.
Yeah.
Y'all have heard of that name. I went to Dad and said, Wells, I got to have a job. And he hooked me up with the late Reverend Omar Jawar.
Okay, is this when you came out of prison?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he So we met, and he said, I'm going to make you a mentor for kids in South Dallas. And I'm thinking, I'm be like, man, I got to be digging ditches. Or I got to be selling cars. All of a sudden, hey, I am mentoring to kids.
Yeah.
I call myself mentoring.
Yeah.
But after about 2 or 3 weeks, a month of mentoring, I'm like, I ain't dealing with these kids. Not me. And the next
Why?
thing,
Were they shitheads?
I'm gonna tell
Some
you
of 'em.
something. I'm gonna tell you something about kids.
Tell us. This is the mom game.
This is the mom game.
I'm gonna tell you something about kids. I find that's a lot of bad parents.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of bad parents. We ain't ready to be parents. We don't have the time and the dedication. So I'm looking at these kids. I'm like, wow, these kids lost. And I ain't gonna go there. But anyway, I was supposed to get this job, so I'm mentoring. I ain't gonna go there. So I did that for about 6 months. Then all of a sudden, ESPN called. Can we get you for 30 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Can we do a hit? Can we do this? Can we do that? And the next thing you know, I'm back rolling. I'm back in the Metroplex, baby. I'm back rolling. Yeah. I'm like, wow.
You never had to have a job.
Yeah. So.
Well, but the reason is because you're honest.
Right.
People like that.
Right.
You're transparent.
Right.
People that is what people are drawn to. They don't want a bunch of bullshit. They don't want a bunch of people trying to be perfect.
Trying to be perfect all the time.
All that kind of stuff. That's what's so great. That's what's appealing. That's why they call. That's why they wanted you.
That's why you're still doing
That's
it.
why you're
Dion,
still doing
it.
And Dion, they wanted Dion, but Dion like, okay, I got this guy, So I can't think of Tom's last name. And then we had the station manager. He was a good guy, and I was working with Coop. Me and Coop was doing
Chuck
things.
Cooperstein.
Yeah. And Randy Galloway.
Yeah.
He had me on for. So what I'm trying to say is, all the guys that used to write about me or talk about the Cowboys or write about, all these guys were helping me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying to myself, wow. I'm just laughing. I'm laughing. People be like, why are you laughing? I'll be like, wow, y'all just don't know the story.
Right. But I will say this, from my perspective, covering athletes for 25 years now, that you're supposed to be impartial and not develop emotional attachments or relate. Fuck that. That's bullshit.
Right.
It's bullshit.
Right.
Because I care about people that I've covered for 15 years and gotten to know their families and all that kind of stuff. And so I got in on the tail end of your run or whatever, but like that, you create want, even if you fuck up, I still want to help. I still want
relationships.
Absolutely. You're emotionally invested in someone. And that is what I try to tell athletes all the time. Like, you don't have to be best friends, but if you're, especially in this day and age, like if you treat the media with respect and, and courtesy and all that kind of stuff, it goes a long way. Not that you have to kiss their ass or vice versa, but like I use this analogy all the time. There was a guy named CJ Wilson who pitched for us for a long time. He made things really difficult on the media, very difficult. As soon as he had a bad outing or whatever, everyone was ready to pounce. You know why? Because he was an
a-hole,
But you've got a guy like Elvis Andrus, who the first year of his, whatever ridiculous contract, he can't hit the broadside of a barn, and we're all kind of tiptoeing
around it,
and it's human nature. I don't care what sport you cover. I don't care if you're a national writer, if you're a columnist. Bullshit. You develop relationships with people, and for you, that ended up being such a blessing.
Yeah. I like Brad Sham said a long time ago when we got in some trouble one time. I said, y'all be kind to old Big Dude.
Yeah.
Every time I see Mr. Sham and we talk for a minute, then he walking away, he'll holler back, y'all be kind to old Big Dude. Oh. And see, I'm gonna tell you something. This is what makes the world go round, is when you get to meet young ladies like yourselves and you get involved and you see it's not what the people in the world perceive us to be.
Right.
You know, I tell people, yeah, we're superhuman because you can break down games and you can open and close shows, and same with you. And I can play football at a high level. I did play football. We have unique skill sets that we perfected and puts us on a higher level. But at the end of the day, you still got to get up in the morning and brush your teeth because if you don't, your breath won't stink. You still got to take that, go to the restroom because if you don't, it's
You're full of shit.
No, I don't know how you always get back there.
She loves that, doesn't she?
And
No,
so,
you're right. It's all about being a good person and making those connections.
You got kids, and your kids are going to act up just like a lot of other kids. They're going to have the same challenges. But the problem, see, this is what makes you all special. Is not only do you have to take care of the same problems as everyday people, now you still got to go out there and be that professional.
Yeah,
that's what makes you special.
Yeah, well, thank you, and that's what this show's about.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too is that I think is so appealing about you is you own it. You own your shit. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, not that really.
Not really. I mean, okay, no more saying shit the rest of the show. But you own your stuff. You've never ran from it. You've never tried to hide it. You've never said like, let's not talk about this on the show. Let's not talk about this. Let's not talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. That's in the past. That's behind me. You've owned everything.
Well, the thing is, you never know what people gonna come up to you about. Mm-hmm. You can always think it's gonna be nice, but what if they do come up to you about this situation and that situation? And now all of a sudden you're like, no, I don't want to talk about that. Well, that's how they know you and that's how they perceive you. And if you don't say something to change it, that's how they're gonna walk away. Yep. Now some people just want to get after you, and that's fine. That's life, But I know you. I know if you just trying to get after me, and especially if I don't know you and I never done anything to you, you just looked at me and decided that you didn't like me. Well, you got a problem. I don't have that problem.
Yeah, it's
I'm
on
good
there.
with Nate. You got the problem. So that's how that goes.
And that's usually what it boils down to. It's like people being insecure about themselves.
I know,
but they project onto other people.
You're so likable. I love you so much.
A couple, we've got so many different things we could talk about with you. But I did wonder throughout that conversation. So you are in a job now, in close proximity to the team.
Yes.
And you've got all these guys that are getting into the league that are going to have to deal with all of the things that you had to deal with when it comes to managing money or temptations or how to kind of go through your job as a professional and not get off course. Do they come to you at all? Do you talk to them about that at all? Have the Cowboys asked you to help with any of that?
I used to talk to the kids, but I'm going to tell you something. I met Michael Parsons 2 days ago for the first time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This pandemic, Mr. Jones was not playing. When even though I'm an ex-player, you knew don't cross that line. If they told you not to be around these players, you don't cross that line because you would see a different side of that family. So I didn't cross the line. So I was walking down towards your training table with Shannon Gross, one of my teammates, new teammate. We do the podcast together. And here comes this guy. I'm looking like, whoa, that's a pretty tall guy. Anybody that's taller than me, I'm thinking they're pretty tall. Mm-hmm. And it's this Michael Parsons. And I'm looking at this guy, and I shake his hand, and I can't think of the guy that introduced us. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, brother, just keep playing. But he is the first guy that I looked at as a player and said, man, this dude, he'll give you the feeling of Lawrence Taylor. Mm-hmm. See, I played against Lawrence Taylor. I know the impact he had in the game. I'm like, this dude give you the feeling of Lawrence Taylor. Now, my biggest worry for him is, will the Cowboys surround him with enough players so he can have that impact?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I bet he didn't come into camp overweight.
Who that?
Micah Parsons.
It's just different these days. For sure.
Nah, he didn't, man.
Yeah.
Wow,
He's pretty impressive.
You met him?
I'm just talking about watching football.
I'm
the
telling
dude is
you,
fucking tearing shit
When I
up.
looked at him on this football field, he did not look as big and as imposing as when I walked up. That's rare for me to walk up to a football player and see him on TV and say, God, he's not as big as everybody say.
Right.
But he is.
He's like in street clothes.
Yeah. He is big as
Yeah.
everybody say. He's 6'4" or taller. And he's a man full grown. You shake his hand, it's like a catcher's mitt.
Yeah, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah.
I love the way he plays.
I just hope
Unhinged.
the Cowboys
it.
don't. I hope they don't waste this talent.
Yeah. You and Mr. Jones are tight. You take care of that. Make sure.
No, that's one thing, Ms. M. I don't.
Yeah, you do your
I
thing.
don't
Yeah.
step over. See the thing. Michael Irvin got that power,
Yeah.
and I don't know if Troy got that power. Charles Haley can holler. Ain't nobody listening. You
Kind of have to, right?
But,
he doesn't give you a choice.
Yeah. So
That's so true, though,
Yeah.
with Michael Irvin. Like, he will, he can
he-
insert himself and be heard wherever he wants.
So
Yeah. Okay, well, we have to talk to you. I'm so glad we got to visit, just about nothing. I mean, not nothing, but
Just catching up.
Just catching up. But I know we had you on.
Miss Emily, where did you graduate from? Where did you graduate from?
He wants to write them a letter.
No, because of the
Texas Tech.
She's a Red Raider.
But Texas Tech, okay, did you go to their school of communications?
Cussing, yes. I have a master's in cursing.
I'm like, wow. So I can tell them, hey, go right to that school there.
Don't let her talk to the students. Don't let her go back and teach.
And I have a minor in honesty.
Major in cussing, a minor in honesty.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like
But
we're cut a little bit
you
from
hang around them baseball players.
Yeah, where do you think I learned the cussing?
Yeah.
That's what's kind of fun about this podcast world.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
Yeah.
one that's going to tell us no.
Yeah, no, it's that stuff y'all sipping anyway.
It's a combination
I saw
of
one of
both.
y'all
That doesn't
podcasts. You
hurt.
was showing me one of y'all podcasts the other day, and you had a guy, and he a beer drinker, and he was sipping wine.
Luddy.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh, Luddy, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, let it, man, mess, because wine will fool you. Wine, if you don't care, wine will fool you. You get up and be like, whoa, yeah.
That's the good part.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, but we do want to ask you about, I know you're passionate about NIL.
Right.
And what's going on in college football.
And that's what it's called?
NIL, name, image, likeness.
Okay.
Been doing my
Yeah.
homework, studying.
Yeah, because you had a son that was there
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the University of Texas.
You know, I'm going to tell you, and I hate to say this, but because you don't use the word hate, that is not a good word, but the NCAA, I ain't got no love for them.
Yeah.
None. You
and
went-
about 800 million other people.
You went from one extreme to another, and once again, you've shown no control on how to handle the situation. Now, you go from a kid couldn't do anything. They couldn't even let a booster give a kid $25 to now kids can get millions of dollars. How do you do that? How do you go from a kid, if he cut the booster's grass, was either suspended, the school punished, scholarships taken away. Now you just say, okay, if you can go out and get, I don't want to call it, what's y'all sponsor?
Gateway Buick GMC.
Go out and get, man, you can work here, you can drive a car, and we'll give you this amount of money. And on top of that, you open up a portal where you've let coaches move and do whatever they want. You let athletic directors do whatever they want. You let people make millions and millions of dollars moving around, being the best they could be, helping their families. And then you tell these kids, now all of a sudden you can move with no direction.
Yeah.
I'm
It's like the Wild West. Like, it's like there's no one knows what's going on. It's,
The Power Fives are not going to be hurt. And a lot of the mid-athletics are not going to be hurt, the mid-range guys. It's those lower-tier guys that's going to get these scholarship kids. Because I'm not giving you, if I'm Bama, I don't need to give out these 18 to 25 scholarships to high school kids unless you're a top 10% player. I'll develop you. I'll take a chance to develop you. Now you got to depend on the junior colleges and the lower division schools to give these kids, that normally would be going to the Texases, going to the Houstons of the world, and getting developed. Now we develop them on a lower level so we can poach these schools. We can poach these schools. Now, where's the direction in that? You're not looking out for all of the people that's a part of the NCAA. Mm-hmm. That you cover a large spectrum of people. Now you out of control again. I've never liked the NCAA, and I was telling a young lady yesterday. Yesterday, y'all know when y'all look at this podcast, so yesterday can be whatever.
Yeah.
But you're doing it wrong again.
Yeah.
You are doing it wrong.
So what do you think should be? Do you think they should?
Oh, I already got it fixed.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Do tell.
I got it fixed. You, as a freshman or a sophomore, can move. Juniors and seniors, no, you cannot move. You cannot move.
Can transfer if you're a freshman, sophomore.
And the reason I say a junior or senior cannot move, we'll and this is just my belief. And when you're a junior or senior, no, we're not letting you move because now we're gonna force you. You're gonna have to go to school. We're gonna try to get your degree, which we know if you're in that portal, you thinking you're an NFL player. I don't care how many times you move in a portal. It's only 1% or less gonna make it to the NFL. Mm-hmm. I don't care how many times I'm serious. That is not gonna change. There's only 1,500 or 2,000 players in the NFL. I got that right?
Yeah, you got 30 teams, 32 teams, and
50, maybe 60 players.
Man roster?
Yes.
Yeah, if you include the practice squad. So you got 32 times 60.
1,690.
1,000?
Less than 2,000.
That ain't going to never change.
Yeah. Nope, you're right.
So you still have to try to get these kids some type of close to being graduated. Mm-hmm. You have to get them somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
So
and they're going to get so off course.
Well,
with all this money.
And even if you're saying, let's say you get an NIL deal worth $5 million, that's not life-changing money. That's temporary life-changing money if you manage it right.
Not to a kid. That's right. There you go. Finish it up. Yeah.
And how many of those are you getting, right? So you're talking about like a guy getting, oh, sweet, I'm graduating high school and you're going to give me $150,000? Fuck yeah, I'm in.
Right.
But that's not life-changing money. Even the $5 million on the high end, it's life-changing money for a period of time. And it can be life-changing money if you manage it right. How much of that is going on? Where they're getting advice on how to manage this, right?
See, that is the scary part. Because we as even grown men can't manage it.
No shit, neither can I. I'm a grown-ass woman with a couple kids.
Now, you don't let this get out of control. And you know what, NCAA? In 5 years, y'all gonna be non-existent.
It's gonna ruin it.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's gonna be non-existent because
it's gonna be a free-for-all.
Because the Power Five is gonna take all their power and keep it to themselves. The mid-majors gonna try to get in where they can on these Power Fives, and then everybody else gonna fall into that category. Mm-hmm. And it's gonna be just one big mess.
The only thing that you wonder about that is, and I don't know this, I haven't done any research on it, but where are like the TV contracts? Because that's going to determine a lot. Like where are those TV contracts? Where is ABC, ESPN? Where is Fox on this? Like when do those contracts run out where they can start
poaching these kids?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and schools, and we're going to align with this group, and we're going to whatever. Because so much of that, I mean, we've seen it across sports, not just college football, that so much of the sports landscape now is determined by these TV fucking contracts.
Right.
They're crazy, and they're out. Like the amount of money that's being dropped on those is insane. Mm-hmm. And so how those play out, the networks are going to have a huge, huge part, I think, in how this unfolds.
The thing if the NCAA don't start using common sense, you're right. Because ABC, ESPN, they tell the NFL, hey, hold on now, and they smart. They're like, you know what? We didn't like before when y'all used to tell us if this happened, y'all will give this amount of inventory back.
Right.
You know what? We like that now because now we're gonna tell you what to do because your ratings ain't where you promised us.
Right.
This ain't happening, and this amount of inventory we need back. Well, what do we need to do? Well, we want to change this. We want to change that. We want to.
It's all constant
I
negotiation.
liked it before.
I know.
I liked it before. I'm like, I'm old school. I'm like, let's just let kids play for the love of the game.
No, I've always been about the love of the game, but I've never been about you smiling.
Yeah.
This is the funny thing about it. More kids, and I may be a little bit off because my son went to Texas. I saw more kids graduate than I ever thought. I was like, wow, these kids are really they're graduating. These football players are graduating. But what bothers me is you got all this money. You've added on to your stadium. You know, and this kid over here ain't got nothing. Okay, now he got his degree, but you got your degree too, and you got even more.
Right.
So
there has to be some
Somewhere in
kind of
between.
like middle ground, right?
It is.
Where it's not a total free for all, but it's not that these kids aren't getting compensated for the value that they're bringing to a university.
All the NCAA had to do as a unit. See, and I guess it's politics and everything you do. You know, you got the people that want to help and people that don't want to help, but they couldn't come together.
Right.
And say, you know what? Let's get these kids. Let's get him $6,000 a year. Let's get everybody $6,000 a year.
Some sort of stipend.
Something.
Yes.
Besides the little expense money for the when you live off campus.
Right.
Let's get this. And so now you could have had a starting ground. And then you could see where you could peak it out. But now you have no starting
You can't
ground.
go backwards.
Yeah.
You have
You let the genie out of the bottle.
Yeah, and so
You can't
it's
shove it
very
back in at this
confusing.
point. Yeah.
You know, I feel sorry for the kids. People say, why you feel sorry for the kids? They getting paid. Because of what you just said.
Yeah.
They have no guidance with this money.
Short term.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great for a little
no
bit. But
guidance.
I mean, how many guys have we seen who've had, 10-year careers in professional sports and they piss their money away? Like it's not you expect a 18-year-old to make better decisions and be smarter about it? Come on.
And the parents?
Yeah. I mean, listen, if
That's
you
what
gave
I'm
me
wondering.
if you gave me $200,000 when I was 18 years old, you know what I'm doing with that shit? Like
We do
dumb
know because
stuff.
you did
Gambling, yes.
the car,
whatever.
all the things.
Buy a stupid car and
I
play
do-
blackjack.
Yeah, but I do wonder if the parents are. This is going to make parents and youth sports and all that even that much more competitive.
Yeah.
Because
Well-
you think that your kid could have a payday when they're
college.
18.
18. Yeah, even sooner than
Like,
you
you
don't
think
even
it's-
have to make it to
Right.
the NFL. You don't even have to make
And
it
you
to
already
the pros.
see it with these kids
It
getting
happen-
paid all these paid
I'm
lessons
not
and
gonna call
coaches.
it, but it happens. That's happening. That's been happening years.
Yeah.
In Miami, Florida. That happens in Miami,
Yeah.
where people look out for young kids.
Yeah, on the prowl.
That's been happening in Miami for a while. So
Scouting.
the thing that bothers me is not that these kids are getting paid or not that these kids have an opportunity to move. The thing that gets me is, once again, the NCAA has dropped the ball.
Right.
Everybody talks about progress, let's see what the future holds. And you have no map. The only map you have is, how do we hoard all this money for us?
Right.
How do school presidents?
it's greedy.
So
very
you
greedy.
hoarded all of this money, and you never had a future for the kids. And for how many years you say, well, we giving them a college education. That is so. That is so good and so great, but that is so dumb and that is so stupid. Okay, this kid here, Earl Campbell, Oh yeah, put Texas on the map.
Yeah.
Okay, now that Texas take care of their own, so I'm just using them as an example. You know.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I can't wait, but it'll be interesting to see how everything unfolds
In 2 years.
Oh,
In 2 years,
the
where
landscape
y'all
is
think it'll be?
totally changed. You're right. I don't know that
Ruin SMU.
Yeah.
I don't
Something's
think.
gonna-
Yeah, I don't think it
SMU
will.
was ahead of the curve.
So far ahead. So
now they got
far
ruined.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Nate, it was so fun having you on.
Good to see you, Miss Dobbs.
You as well.
Good to see you, Miss
Love
Miss
you.
Jones. You know, I'm gonna pray for her.
You should.
Me?
She needs a little
Oh, I
prayer.
know. All of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
I've got it all figured out. She's a mess.
School of communication. I'm afraid for. I thought we was gonna talk a little Cowboys, but
Yeah, we'll get to that next time.
Nate's already with his notes.
I know.
well, the thing about it is the draft picks.
Yeah.
I know all the other guys, but the draft picks is who.
You're getting.
I know.
You're getting
Well,
familiar with.
Well, when the season gets closer, we'll get you on and break it down.
Yeah.
I'll throw out some more curse words at you.
I love it. I love it. All right.
Some things never change, Nate.
Yeah.
Some things never change.
And I remember just seeing you a couple of weeks ago on TV. I hadn't saw a Rangers game, but I remembered you. I'm like, they my girl Miss Sibley, wow. They like, yeah, she's still there. I'm like,
Still there.
Yeah. Wow.
the mom of the clubhouse.
I know.
Where's Rads?
He's still out there. He's still, yeah, he's out there too.
Okay.
It's, life is good. Life is good.
I know. I love we can all reconnect.
I know.
Have some
Well,
fun.
Nate,
Even
you're the
with
best.
big hair.
So even with big hair.
Yeah.
So good to see you. Thanks so much for being with us. We so appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we're segueing from one special guest.
To another. It's the most action-packed, jam-packed show ever. Another big guest coming up now.
And we are so thrilled to be joined by Rachel Barbeau. I've been following you and your journey for quite some time. And I really think you have so many valuable insights to offer. And what you're doing is so profoundly important we're so honored to have you on the show, Rachel. And first of all, let's go back a little bit and talk about your background in, kind of similar fields to Julie and I.
Yeah, absolutely. 17 years as a sportscaster. Never thought, I had aspirations, but I never thought that I would break, ceilings, glass ceilings and barriers and those things. But before I retired in 2019 to do what I do now, I had become the first female host on SiriusXM on their collegiate stations, vote for the Heisman, and was hosting the college football playoffs. So for, a little girl from Atlanta, Georgia, I did good, and I got to help a lot of people over the 17 years tell their story. I always say everybody has a story to tell. Some people just need a little help with it. And it was for me, I was never a gotcha reporter. I was more, I did radio, but I was very interested, very drawn to the human interest side of things, which works again with what I do now, but about the heart, relationships, getting to know people. And because of that, because my relationship driven personality, I still call a lot of coaches and their wives friends, but it was a great run and I loved it for many, many, many years.
Yeah, it sounds like a woman after my own heart. This sounds very similar to kind of the way that I've, conducted my career, the way that I've kind of operated. So yeah, it's great to have you, and love hearing those stories and what you got out of this profession.
Yeah, and your whole story I think is really interesting to both of us, but with this podcast, like we branched off and we did something that we felt was needed in the sports world. And I know you hit a point in your career where you kind of feel like, you know what, I've done all I can do or want to do in this particular field, but I'm feeling a calling doing something else. And it seems like that's exactly what you've done. So how about you just tell us what all you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to take a moment to speak to anybody who is, because I know this podcast is wildly successful. I want to take a moment to speak to anybody right now who is wanting to go for it, but they're terrified. And I just want to say, do it afraid, sister. Do it afraid, brother. Because the magic does not happen when you're comfortable. And if you're waiting to be comfortable before you jump, then you're never going to jump. And I think so many miserable people, so many people that are unhappy are living in fear of going for the job, fear of moving, fear of telling the person how they feel, fear of asking for help. So I don't know. I just really felt the need and the desire to speak to somebody who's watching this right now, who I know probably felt the same way that I did in October 2019. So back in 2016, I saw a problem in college athletics, and it was the summer after. It was right after the heels of Penn State. We were in the thick of Baylor. There were guys getting in trouble left and right. There were coaches getting in trouble, sexual assault, sexual violence, domestic violence. And I just believed that God made me a do something girl, and I believed that I could do something about it. And so I created this curriculum, and it was like super simple. And it was like, who are you away from the field? What makes your heart beat faster? What if you never were an athlete? Like, who are you? Are you a painter? Are you are you an artist? Are you a musician? And so I never thought that. I just wasn't thinking, putting two and two together, being a college football reporter. So I thought I would go into high schools, but my dear friend, Kevin Elko, who works with the Colts and works with Nick Saban, he called and said, Jimbo Fisher wants you at FSU. And this was August of 2016. I was like, what? Like, this is insane. And so I went, never thinking that this little talk about identity and purpose and passion and my own experience with domestic violence, because one of the greatest things I teach in this movement that I created, I'm changing the narrative, is that out of your greatest pain can come your greatest purpose. So I had a horrific experience with domestic violence, and I thought I could go teach other men how to be the kind of man that stood up for a woman if they ever saw it, or to be the man that would never lay his hands on a woman. So that was August of 2016. I blinked, and there it was. It was, now we've been, like I said, 50 plus colleges. We work with Customs and Border Patrol multiple times, law enforcement in multiple states, halfway houses, prison ministries, high schools. You're never too old or too young to be who you were created to be. And in the movement that I created, we now have other speakers as well. And that's been a dream of mine, to have other faces, other stories. But one of our core principles is when you have good love for yourself, you can have good love for others. And we also talk about, again, purpose, passion, platform, interpersonal relationships. And here's the big one, mental health. We've been talking about mental health since the summer of 2019. And it's a really painful topic right now for so many people, and we're losing people left and right. And so it became so encompassing. It became such a passion that I walked away from sportscasting while still employed at Sirius in October of 2019.
Wow.
And I see you getting emotional. This isn't just a job for you. It's a mission. And when you talk about that mental health, that's when you teared up. What is, I mean, obviously it's a huge issue, but what is it about that tugs at your heartstrings and that you so desperately want to help with?
Well, and this is a trigger warning for your guest, but I lost my mom on May 1st, 2019. So we're coming up on 3 years. And I had just gone through a breakup, and I was financially rock bottom because I had not really worked a lot, and I'd helped my mom with alternative cancer treatment. So I was broke. And so those three things, in addition to having sleep deprivation, getting up early for serious shows 2 nights in a row, created the perfect storm. And I heard voices telling me to kill myself. And when the voices would not go away, telling me that I was pathetic and I was a loser and I couldn't keep anybody or anything, and that the world would be better off without me, I began to have suicidal ideations of picking up the gun that was on top of my refrigerator and ending my own life. And I, for a little bit, was ashamed to talk about it and worried, because I felt like I had one voice on one shoulder saying, you cannot talk about this. You will be seen as defective and weak, and no one will book you, and you're a loser. And the other voice, the good voice, said, my girl, you're a warrior, and I saved you for a reason. And you go tell people far and wide that they're not defective and they're not broken, and that have a plan. And we teach people about having a battle plan now, and what you do and what I should have done in those moments, because the voices told me not to bother anybody, that it was too late, and that I would burden people. And the truth is, I have had so many people tell me that love me since then. If you would have taken your life, you would have wrecked my life. So the lie that we tell ourselves when we're in those desperate moments is that we can't burden anybody with our problems. And truth be told, and here's a very powerful statement: people would rather share your burdens than carry your casket.
Wow. That's so true.
It's so true. And you know, when you're on the outside, right? Like I'm sure you know Drew Robinson and his story, and he was like my child here a little bit. Like I adored him. And I remember when I heard about his suicide attempt, and I immediately was like, what could I have done? And and I had no idea he was in that place. And, and I'm thinking, Petey, you're insane. We would all be miserable without you. We would miss you, and you're not, it's just, and you think like, it makes so much sense to me. Like, come on, man. We love you. You're loved. But it's when it's you, you don't reason right?
Absolutely. You're spot on. We have a psychologist that works with us in the movement, and he teaches, and my business manager is also an AA sponsor. So he's very smart. And he says, facts or feelings. And in that moment, all you can feel, you're so despondent. You're so, you're so out of control. You're so sad. You're so depressed, whatever it is, that you're dealing with feelings, not facts. And, what breaks my heart about recently, what we're dealing with in the collegiate world with these young women taking their lives, and I can speak on it because I went through it, is the things that I thought were so horrific were things that I could get over, right? They weren't detrimental. They weren't life ending. They weren't those things. Guess what? So if I lost my house, who cares? You get another house. If you lose your money, you make more money, right? Like, the man that I had, so I had a broken heart and I lost my mom. The man that I broke up with right before my mom passed away, we're married now. So like, do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like,
you just got to get to that spot in your brain. Like,
but you get to that spot and you think it's that's it. And it's worth ending your life for. And my gracious, it's not.
Yeah.
So what is your message? Like, how do you communicate? Because it's been obvious. I mean, people want you. They want you at their programs. They want you speaking to their people. And obviously there's so much more of an awareness for this type of thing now, but you've been doing this for a while. So you were ahead of the curve. What is your message that it has been so impactful within these programs and within this movement?
Yeah. Well, I could keep y'all on for a couple of hours, but the biggest one is to take off the mask. And it's just what I did with you guys. You asked me, you teared up when you talked about mental health. What happened? I took off the mask. We call it in my movement radical vulnerability. And I'm not talking about your COVID mask. I'm talking about the mask that you wear for the world. And it's saying, I'm hurting. I need help. I don't have tools in my toolbox to be able to deal with this. I think I know this because it's just the feedback that I've heard over the years, because I work with most colleges multiple times. So then there's that trust continues to build. The other thing that happens with me, and I consider myself different, and I wish more speakers were like this, but I give out my cell phone number. I follow them back on social media. Like, I want to be your friend. I've had kings and queens of mine, because I believe inside of every single one of us is a king or queen or royalty. I've had my kings and queens were at my wedding. I've been to their weddings. I've seen babies be born. I've talked to parents. I have best friends now who are parents of some of my athletes. But what happens, and what I'm told is, Rachel, you just come in. You don't yeah at us. You don't say, you should do this. You should not do that. You just share your life. Mm-hmm. You share all the things that were meant to kill you and take you out, but they didn't. And how you still have joy. My middle name is Joy. Through all of this. And so I just share my stuff, my funky junk, as we call it, and the things that I've used to be able to help myself and battle back and keep that joy and chase that joy. And because of that, we create this bond. And I'm telling you, it is the most beautiful thing. I feel I don't have biological children, but like I have like nieces and nephews, and like I feel like I have a ton of adopted kids all over the country.
Everything you're saying and doing is just so, so powerful. And I'm just eating it up. I know we could talk to you forever. But this is something that is so prevalent in sports. And you mentioned the recent suicides we've seen in female athletes at Stanford and Wisconsin. Emily mentioned Drew Robinson, who she knew through her job. He was on our show. I covered the Dallas Stars and have worked in the NHL for a while. We had a guy on our show, Stephen Johns, who had attempted suicide. He was dealing with he had a bad hit, then was dealing with concussions, couldn't figure it out, had to retire, kind of lost who he was because he was known as an NHL defenseman. And then all of a sudden he wasn't. And he told us, he attempted suicide and he's still struggling with it. He's been on our show. Why is this happening so much in sports, Rachel? And what can we do to help?
Okay. It's multi-layered. It is multi-layered. Here's the first thing I'll say. Ooh, there's so much. Thank you for asking the question. First of all, I had a school, and I posted this last night, and I posted that I was righteously angry, and I have every right to be. But we tried to go to this school, and this school came back to us. This was a couple of years ago, and the school said, we already have mental health professionals on staff. Well, first of all, I'm not a mental health professional. I'm a mental health advocate. I'm a normal person who normalizes conversations around mental health. Okay. So I bet Wisconsin has world-class mental health professionals. I bet Stanford does. But if they're not going to them and using them, we have a problem. Okay. So that's the first thing. We've got to get them to darken your doorways. The second thing is, and it's why Utah State just did a revolutionary thing, and I loved it. I was there for 2.5 days. I had separate sessions with female athletes, male athletes, coaches, and admin. Because if I get a player to open up and I destigmatize and tell him, you've never been so strong, you've never been so masculine, is when you ask for help. Because these things are kind of, don't cry, don't show emotion, keep going, put some dirt on it, keep moving. Also with female athletes. But if I get an athlete to ask for help or to say I'm struggling, and they go back to a coach that has antiquated views on masculinity or toughness or strength, and they tell them to suck it up, to get it together, and to get back out there, and that player is not likely to ask for help again.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. They'll be belittled and chastised and made fun of. And because that's just the culture that you're supposed to be able to withstand. It's funny. I worked at a sports talk station for a while, and I still do part-time. And in a video surfaced, I think it was the Longhorns, one of the Longhorn coaches just destroying one of the players on the bus on the way home from a loss, and just cussing and they're on a bus. So he's like in a tight space, right? Like everybody watching, just loses his shit on this guy. And we got into a debate, and I'm the only one that said, I don't think this is okay. And then even not to throw these guys I work with under the bus, but they all jumped on me. They're like, this is sports. This is how it is. And now that I'm a mom with a son that plays sports, I don't want that stuff happening. I don't want that happening to my son. I know him as a sensitive, sweet boy, and that kind of thing could ruin him. Yeah. And it's just this back and forth that we had, and they still kind of I still take heat from these guys on sports talk station because I had that take, but it's just the way it's been for so long in sports, just to get belittled and destroyed and be broken down. So I don't know. I feel like what you're doing is okay, let's take this and apply it. How can we change this? Like you said, changing the narrative. So I just think it's so important. And I know that these coaches, these old school people, they may never change, but guess what? Maybe they'll phase out, and then maybe we can bring in new people. Not saying you need to baby everybody, but that can't continue, because it's got to be related to this mental health crisis that we're seeing in sports.
You're so right. And I want to hug you right now.
Virtual hug.
And hug you, because I teach coaches. I say, here's just 2 of the many things I teach them. Not everybody responds to being yelled at. Not everybody. I don't respond to that. When I had bosses in the sports industry, and we all share that in common, that would yell at me, I would die inside. Yeah. And I would do worse when you yelled at me. You know what I mean? If you pulled me off to the side and said, Rachel, you're better than that. You got this. Encourage me. That's what I respond to. So I ask coaches to use, y'all ready for this? It's crazy. Yep. The 5 love languages. Find out how your players are motivated. Are they affirmation people? Are they hug 'em people? Are they do things for them people? The other thing that I teach coaches, and all they are is grown-up players, and I teach them, we call stuff funky junk in the movement, which is bitterness, anger, trauma, unforgiveness, abuse. No matter what you think, as a coach, you are bringing your healing to work or you're bringing your funky junk to work. Because the same way that hurt people, healed people heal people. So what I tell coaches is this. You think the world has told you that you've got to be tough. You got to be masculine. You got to have it all together. I had a coach tell me at a school, we did a coaches only meeting, and Sonny Dykes did it. And I was so grateful for him allowing this to happen. And he stood up, took his mask off and said, I've lost, I think it was like 6 or 7 kids. And I was like, what? And he said, yes, miscarried. I've held some of them. I've lost those children. Wow. I said, do your players know that? And he said, no, I've never told them. And I said, I'm telling you, if you would share that with your players, any player that played for you that had ever experienced loss would be so bonded to you, would play their guts out for you on another level, because we aren't attracted to toughness. We're attracted to vulnerability.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm with you. Like, as far as, people they want someone to relate to. They want to have that connection and that bond with someone that they feel like better understands their point of view. And like you said, what you're doing is so powerful with and realizing that it can't just be the players. It's got to be those coaches everybody too. Same way with like parents and kids and, all those kind of things. I just think it's tremendous. And we're so grateful that you were with us today. We'd love to have you back another time.
I know we should do some kind of series.
I feel like we're just scratching the surface of the things you have to say. And I will tell you the do it afraid. I love that. Do it afraid. I think that's fantastic. So Rachel, thank you so much for being with us. Continued success to you and keep doing the good work. And we're so happy that you joined us.
We'll definitely have you back and we'll be in touch because I want to talk to you more for sure. But how can people find you, get a hold of you? How can they help your cause?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I'm the letter I, the letter M, changingthenarrative.org. I think social media is meant to be social. So I talk to people. I make friends on social media. I try to respond back to people. If somebody wants to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, it's Rachel Barbeau. LinkedIn, send me a message. I always love this too. Like, you can go to my website and hit contact and go straight to my email. Like, I love having that. I have boundaries, but I love having people be able to get to me if they would like. And so I love connecting with people. And yes, please, let's do this. It's kicking off Mental Health Month. We're going to have a ton of programming. We have a you guys and sharing this amazing success and use our collective voices to be able to change a narrative and save and change lives.
I love it. Just because working in sports like we have for so long, this is something that I've seen firsthand. Emily's seen firsthand, and you almost feel powerless just to see it happening in front of you. So I'm totally down with doing all we can to help and join forces and help get this message out to the world, athletes, non-athletes, everybody. So we'll definitely communicate about that further.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being with us, Rachel. We end every show with throwing up the peace signs and say Mom Game Out. So will you attempt it with us? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Mom Game Out.